I tell people this all the time. He was and it was unofficial. He was my unofficial mentor. It's kind of like, your unofficial boyfriend, the person that you stalk all the time. That's how it was. Hey, welcome to the Social Grenade podcast, where today it's very rare that I just get to talk to one of my friends. So I get to talk to Candice Lowe, who's one of my friends. We, the friends that just send you reels all the time. And I'm the worst friend because I consume them and laugh and then I don't reply, or I forward them on to somebody else. I'm like the world's worst about that. But Candice is my reels friend. And I love that about her because there's some stuff that we as social media people can't just share on social media, but we love it so much. So we share it with our nearest and our dearest, the ones that we know are safe to share this content with. So we're in the safe zone here. Hey, Candice, how is your day going today?
It's fabulous. How about you?
It's a day in the life of automotive. We were talking about it before the show. It's just a day in the life. It's just if anything, if you're in the automotive space and you have not learned to pivot and adapt on the daily, weekly, monthly, then you're in the wrong line of work, because
100%.
I don't think we've had a solid year of non-change since 2019.
I don't think I've seen a solid year where there hasn't been a major pivot in automotive since I started in automotive. I remember when I started in automotive and I thought, hey, you know what? This internet thing, that might take off. This is 28 years ago. No one's ever going to buy a car on the internet. Oh, okay. Well, I'm going to go ahead and go over to that dealership because they seem to think people will. And that dealership's closed now, and the one I worked at is actually thriving.
Yeah. It's funny because it's like we have a meeting with our bankers every 90 days. I don't know why we have to have a meeting with our bankers every night. They just want to catch up with how are things going in business? What's this? What's that?
Yeah.
And every 90 days are so different. They'll have their little notepads out from what we talked about the last time. And they're like, well, how is this going and that going? I'm like, what?
That was like
I
two
don't
marriages
even
ago
know
in the
what you're
car business.
talking
Get out of
about.
here.
That's like 1978. Stop it. But that's just how it rolls with us. So I want to talk today about I know like you getting into automotive 28 years ago. And did you go in as sales?
Yes, I did. Yeah. Like everybody else in the car business, I kind of fell backwards into it. My then father-in-law, I asked him, hey, what's a field I could go into and earn, enough for two incomes, when my then husband was actually starting up his own business. He goes, oh, you need to go sell cars. Like, okay, I don't have any education or experience. He goes, it doesn't matter. And my family had Ford trucks. And there was a Ford truck dealership in town. So I walked in and said, hey, I've never sold anything in my life. Can I sell cars? Well, we're not sure. And I'm like, I know every horse farm in this area. And they're like, yeah, you're hired.
Yeah, for sure. And so how did that go for you 28 years ago, being a woman in the car business? Regular?
So I had the advantage of having one other woman at that dealership who was the top salesperson for the past 3 to 4 years before I got there. Like, she was 22, 25 cars. She's the general manager of the store now, just FYI. She's stayed there ever since. So I had the benefit of having her as my mentor. And the GM at that point in time said, yeah, just follow Dana and do what she does. And this is before CRMs. This is before social media. This is before any of that stuff. Like, you get your 3x5 cards in a little 3x5 card box, and you get the phone book on this side of your desk. And that's your CRM, is the phone book. And that place, yeah, I went from probably two or three other Ford dealerships, and it was where I was either the only woman or I was one of two women, and they would put us on opposite shifts. So there would at least be one woman there who was selling cars. Nice. So it wasn't great, but it also had its perks, because customers would weed past the sea of men if you were standing on the point to take an up and say, hey, can you help me? And I'm like, yeah, sure. Why me? Well, you're the only woman here. So we want to buy a car from women. So probably half my sales per month were simply because I was a woman.
I was talking to a friend of mine, Jamie Langham, and she works with the Rorman Automotive Group in the Northeast. And I think she's in Indiana still. Anyways, and we were talking because it's like she's been in the automotive space for 26 years, and she goes, I have a hard time. Um, not really sympathizing with women in the industry who are talking about how bad they have it. She goes, I've never experienced anything like they're talking about. I've never experienced being marginalized or less than or put in a box because she goes, I never experienced any of that. And she goes, and I haven't always been at one dealership. Like I've worked at several different dealerships over my lifetime. Like I've never experienced it anywhere. And she's like, is it just because we're like of this age and we just don't consider that crap, like if they said this thing and someone heard and they went, oh my God, how do you tolerate that? And you're like, tolerate what?
It's the
When
car
they,
business. You
yeah,
don't want to tolerate it, you're going to have to leave. That's pretty much was the, attitude that I got. You can't, you have to have thick skin. Like that's the first thing you need to grow,
in sales,
especially as a
but
woman.
sales in anything in this, I mean,
Oh,
I was
100%.
a
Yep.
realtor for a while, right? So it's like, I mean, that was the same thing. Like
Mhm.
I had one of my clients go look at a house with another realtor, and he showed it to him after already asking them were they working with somebody else, and they said yes, and he still showed them a house and put them under contract. And what he told me? He goes, sometimes that cookie's going to break in your favor and sometimes it's going to break in mine.
Yep.
Deal with it. And I was like,
That's a good point. It's sales no matter what. If you don't have that thick skin, sales isn't the field for you for
that's
sure.
exactly right. Go be a kindergarten teacher or go be in charge of, whatever it is that brings you some joy. But sales is one of those things that you just have to, tenacity is a key indicator of something that you have to have, but you also have to be like, you have to be averse to rejection.
Yeah.
Like if you're not averse to rejection, don't go into sales because you're going to have it like a lot. And then how
100%.
how do you deal with that? And so there's just a lot of factors, not just like, oh, I think I can do this. Yeah, but how will you feel when you can't do it? Because there's
Yeah.
going to be days when you just can't, when every at bat is a strikeout. And so like, how will you
And you
deal with
have
that?
to have your product knowledge has to be on point. That's one thing I knew. Like I saw a lot of salesmen around me that could skate by with, they'll pay the receptionist to take their certification courses, or they'll skate by with that stuff. I couldn't skate by with that. I had to know it, because where I sold trucks was there were farms all around us. There were horse farms, racehorse farms, hunter jumper, rodeo. There was all kinds of farms around us. I had to know what that truck could tow, live weight, dead weight. I had to know what the GVWR is. I know what kind of limited slip was on. I had to know all that stuff, because that's what, if you don't know that, then you're not going to sell that car. Like
Right.
they'll just flat out leave. Like you have to know that stuff. Most of the time they knew it more than I did, but I learned a lot from the customers. But
I'm
even when
sure.
I was selling BMWs, it was the same thing. Like your product knowledge has to be on point for sure.
So when did you
That got me on a lot of
transition?
stuff.
Yeah. When did you transition out of sales and onto the vendor side?
That was 15 years ago. Not quite 15 years ago, about 14 and a half years ago. I actually had been, for the leading up point to 3 years, have been trying to transition to get out of the dealership space because it was too volatile for me. Like it was not consistent. I was trying to do marketing gigs within the dealerships that I had worked in, but the first thing they have a bad month, the first thing they look at is what's a static cost we can get rid of. So I'm like, okay, well, I did contract work, and I had a contract at a friend's store who was a GM for a store up in Duarte, which is by Monrovia and Pasadena.
Mm-hmm.
And the one of the reps that came in there was from Cobalt. This is how long ago that was. Now it's been CDK,
Mm-hmm.
ADP, Synchro, everything else. And he said, hey, if you're ever looking for, a steadier gig, I can bring you into the consulting program. And I went, I'm going to need a steady gig in about 3 months when this contract is up. Can you
Yeah.
wait? And he goes, that actually will be perfect. And I stayed there for 12 years. So, and I just, in 2023, transitioned over to the paid Stitch ad space. And now I'm at Pure Cars.
Nice. Nice. So on that side of it, because I know that you and I like to talk about social a lot. Let's talk about something we were talking about earlier, the difference between social and search.
Mhm.
So break it down for people to understand, because I think that I don't think that I know that if you're not in this world, differentiating between the two, and then what do I really want, for my store? What mix do I want? Can sometimes be confusing for them.
So, with regards to social and OTT and display and all those other types of things outside of search, vehicle ads, PPC, all that stuff, that is all demand gen, all of it. That's trying to push people into getting to a point where they want to seek out your vehicle, the products that you have. That's with anybody, right? We don't see videos on TikTok for Apple products because we're going to buy it from TikTok. We see videos on TikTok for Apple products because then we're going to go search for those really cool Apple products or the new Apple, the new iPhone. That's probably one of the best examples I can tell you. But when you go search for an iPhone, you didn't go from the TikTok ad. Like 90% of the time, people, actually 99, people don't go from the TikTok ad. They
Right.
go into Google and they start searching stuff. Well, that's when Apple has to then pay for search to be present when people are looking for the new 16 iPhone 16 or whatever iPhone we're on now, or
Right.
AirPods, or whatever they're looking for. Then you want to be in search, you want to be present and be found where the people are searching. So I kind of equate like that. The demand gen side of it, the search, OTT, all display, all that stuff, puts the fish in the pond. The search is actually your fishing rod and reel to get the fish out of the pond and into your net. If that breaks it down pretty simple.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. And like that, like to me, because that's how I search, right? Like I've heard talk that for the new generation, I don't know what they're called.
The new one coming. What are we
Yeah,
on? It's like Gen
Gen,
X. What is it? Gen X?
I think it's Gen Alpha.
Gen what? Gen Alpha? Okay,
I
got it.
think so. I could be wrong, but I think for the new generation that's coming up right now, that TikTok is actually becoming a search engine for them.
Yep.
And so for all of the rest of us, we're still Googling.
Yeah.
I still use Google as a search engine. I also use Pinterest as a search engine for some weird stuff, but um, and so then on social, if we're talking about social, because like I call them different things. Like you call it search and I call it social. For social, I think anything that gets done on a social platform, so Facebook, Instagram, within Meta's universe or within TikTok's universe, or which I don't do TikTok ads, but then I think then everything else I consider digital. Like that's
Yeah.
what I call it. And so everything I don't consider social digital. I consider it social.
I get what you're saying. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay. Yeah, there's a
And
big, so it's funny too. And I've heard it when I was in the consulting side of it, everything online was digital, like even SEO, website vendors, see everything was digital outside of the brick and mortar dealership. You know
Mhm.
what I mean? But
Right.
now it seems like it's even more segmented, which is good because I think that's where a lot of the confusion has come from with what exactly does digital mean and what does it not mean. I think that's where it's coming from is we're just not very we weren't very specific about what was in that silo versus this silo.
Yeah, I think so too. So on the social media side of things, which paid social, organic social, all of that, all of that, how do you see that playing out in the automotive space right now? Like I think I can tell you, like I think that it was like it's a luxury if you had social media marketer at your agency 2019, right? Like
Yep.
you were like in the know, you were the cool kid, you had a social media person, right? And then in 2020, when the lockdown happened and nobody was driving in their cars, so radio ads weren't working. Only thing on TV was a body count in the refrigerated trucks in New York City. Like, so nobody was on TV. Like, that would have been tone deaf. Then everybody was like, oh my gosh, social is our channel to tell everybody what's going on at our dealership. Yes, we're open. Yes, we're essential. Yes, we're sanitizing vehicles. Yes, we're doing XYZ. And social was their only avenue to do that. Like there was
Social was
only,
like the holy grail. Like I
yeah,
told people, if you're not on social during COVID, what are you doing? How do
right.
people even know you're there?
Epic BDC is a proud sponsor of the Social Grenade podcast. Tune in.
And so I think like for probably a good, I'm going to say like 5 months, like that was and I had half of my clients stepped on the gas, the other half stepped on the brakes.
Yeah.
Like there was no in between status quo. They either went all in or they pulled all the way out.
Mhm.
And then I, then it became like, so then we headed into the inventory shortage, chip shortage. I don't have any cars to sell. I don't want to do any advertising because
Yep.
I only have four vehicles here on the lot. I'm a Ford dealer with four Fords,
Yep.
and I don't want to do any marketing whatsoever. What else can we talk about? I'm like, well, do you need to acquire vehicles? Like,
Do you
do you
need a
need
service? Do you need service business?
like
Like
there's
this?
other
Yeah.
things other than selling vehicles that
Yeah.
social is for.
Yeah.
So I think that they learned
Yep.
some then.
But it
I
was really siloed. You're right to talking
yeah,
about vehicles. And I started telling people that you need to be talking about service. Well, why? And I literally would be while they're asking me on my phone, Googling oil change near me while sitting in their dealership. There's Jiffy Lube, there's Walmart service. They're marketing on you on your social media and in your market. Why aren't
mhm,
you marketing? So that's my
right,
big push is at least for those big points of defection, the
for
BTOB, you
sure.
really need to be marketing those well. Like, what makes you guys different? What is a certified master tech? Like, that's like the biggest secret in the automotive business. Nobody knows how that outside of automotive. Nobody knows what a certified master tech is. Why should
Yeah,
I go to a dealership and
with
pay
an ASC certified.
$75?
I don't even know what
Yeah.
ASC certified is either.
Why should I go to a dealership, pay $75 for an oil change when I can go to Jiffy Lube and pay $12.95? Tell me why. There's literally no forum better that you can tell that story on than social media.
Right.
There's a ton of, I mean, I'm not even talking about German mechanics. Like that's a whole nother level. But just general Nissan certified master technician, it's a job. It's a lot of work. It's a lot of training. It's a lot of
Mhm.
interning. It's a lot of skill mastering before you get to that level. And I just don't think that's advertised anywhere near enough. Nobody knows about that. Nobody talks about it. So every
I
time
think they should
dealership go
all
to a
wear.
dealership, I go, how many certified master techs do you have here? Well, all of them are. Well, how many do you have? 25. Okay. Did you knock on everybody's door around here and let them know that?
Right. And you know what? Until they need it. It's like, you know what, I compare it to this, right? So someone like doesn't go to the dentist for years and years and years and years and years, and then something happens to their tooth, and you know they're on social media going, "I need a dentist. Anybody got one?" Like you just don't even care. Any dentist will do. You would just let anybody just drill in your mouth. You don't care.
Sure,
Like
someone has a drill in the back of their trunk that can help you out for real
I'm like,
cheap.
really? Just anybody? Like, and the same way with, oh, I need to get an oil change. I'm just going to pull it over here. I'm like, really? Just any, I mean, it's your 50, 60, $70,000 vehicle. Just anybody?
Yep.
What the crap, man? I mean, I don't want just anybody. Oh my gosh, it's insanity sometimes. And they're right. Like if they will understand that social is about telling the story of your brand and your people and why you're special. It's the why buy. You know,
Yep.
it's not the just buy. They get the media part of it, they forget the social part of it.
Yeah.
And they're constantly going, wait, where what did that turn into? What and it's like, oh my gosh, okay, all of this is the story of who you are and why you're here. Like if you had an infomercial running all the time, that's what this is. So
Yeah.
what do we want the people to know about you? What do we want them to know about your level of service? What do we want them to know about your detail department, and how great they are, all of those things. What does your crappy trade-in vehicles look like whenever they come in? And then when they're reconned, what do they look like?
Yeah.
Take me down that path.
Before and after. That's a great one. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. And that way, so people are like thinking, oh, I can't trade in this car. It's crappy and it's blah, 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 blah. Well, if they see one
Yeah.
being traded in, then they'll be like, I can trade this vehicle in. Great.
I
If
have
it's
a
paid
store
off.
who did a time lapse video in one of their bays. They had one kid who would come in 1 day a week or 2 days a week, rather, and he would do lifts on cars. And he would do maybe 3 a day, 2 or 3 a day, depending on the height of the lift. And they did set up a camera, did a time lapse. They're now like, and this store is in West Texas. They're now like the masters of the lift kit. Like that, and they did no other advertising that they did lift kits other than time lapse videos 2 days a week for that kid.
That's awesome.
So,
I mean,
but to your point, he brought in a truck. He would show like slow roll in. Hey, here's just a basic, normal, 3-year-old
mhm.
truck or brand new truck or whatever it was. And hey, look at it as it rolls out. Look at the wheels, look at the step bars or the light bar, whatever we put on it. We can make your truck that looks like this look like this. So to your point, what you said earlier, made so that's it. People just don't think that, oh, my vehicles, I can't do that with my vehicle. Well, look, they're doing it over there with
Yeah.
that vehicle. So yeah, it tells a
Yeah.
story for sure.
Well, and not only that, think about like the dealerships who are really, really good at doing, let's go like mid-level credit and then subprime, right? They need to be telling those stories. This
Oh yeah.
person didn't think they could get a vehicle. They were sure that they had to do a buy here, pay here, and we did whatever. And if you're like wanting more of those customers, you tell one story and five come, like the seagulls at the beach. You
Yep.
throw one French fry up, and like all of a sudden there's six more seagulls there, right? And like
Look at
it
Carvana and what's the other one?
really,
Ugly Duckling car
oh
sales is really big out there. Yeah. They started just doing social media pushes. That's all they started with because they were small potatoes. Now look at them. I
yeah,
mean, they're definitely CarMax is definitely buying into that subprime because they carry their own note and they show happy people, hey, I got my car. Hey, I did the whole transaction online. Hey, I got approved.
yeah,
That's all done through, I see it all the time on social media. Those
yeah.
are all storytelling.
And they're so easy, right? If people can just understand that, like
Yeah.
you can curate your audience and who you want to draw into your universe just by the type of posts that you make on social
Yep.
media. Like it doesn't have anything to do with paid marketing. Literally, it is the image, and we call it the bait, right? It's the hook or
Mm-hmm.
the bait that we put out there, brings in the type of people. Like on the ad side of it, if I want to run a $5 down ad, I know I'm getting subprime people,
Yeah.
100%, because anybody with good credit is like, well, I mean, I've got more than $5. Will you take? I mean, that's kind of
Yeah.
stupid.
Yeah.
And if you want to hit those mid-level people, you're like hitting them with a payment option, right? Like we've got
Yes.
payments as low as $2.99 a month. And so then you're getting people with more than $5 in their pocket,
Yep.
and we're working on, and so really it is the bait. And although targeting is possible within Facebook, really, I mean, we were talking with a Facebook rep yesterday, and they literally told us what we all know. And that's that the images and the copy that you're writing out there is what is going to attract them into your universe. Like you could literally dial it in if you wanted to, but you're going to be excluding some people that you don't need to, because the high end buyers are not going to bite on that ad, and the low end ones on the 299, the low end ones are not going to, because they're like, yeah, that seems like you probably have to qualify somewhere.
Yep.
And so the bait really is what kind of draws them in. And the same thing with creating your culture.
Mm-hmm.
What kind of culture do you want to have? And then that's what you curate. That's what you put out into the world in your socials. And that's what you tell people who you are.
I have a store right now, a Kia store in Ohio, and the first thing he said to me when I took over his account is, I want to be the number one Forte. Well, now it's the K4. I want to be the number one K4 dealership in Ohio. And I go, what do you have out there on social media? He's like, what? And I go, what do you have organically on social
Right.
media talking about you have the most Fortes, the most K4s in stock? Your salespeople are the best for customer service. You get everybody approved. Whatever your messaging is, where is that? Let's start there, and then I'll build infrastructure to be there when they're searching for you. But you have to start there. And
Right.
we went over his website. I pointed out a couple of things on there, and then we went over his social media stuff. I'm like, you have some personalities. Once I spent some time at the store, I've been there 3 times now. You have some personalities here. Like, you need to take advantage of that. You need to get a
Mhm.
camera in front of them. And
Right.
the feedback is the feedback for everybody. You and I have had it too. Oh, I'm afraid I'm going to suck. You're gonna suck the first couple times you get on camera. Just get over it.
Yeah. More
Suck and
reps.
then get to non-sucking.
Yeah. More reps. I literally went to a dealership today. I went up to a dealership today because we had, I have a local dealership here that just started using Social Grenade for the first 30 days. They just finished their first 30 days. And so, and they had like tremendous results. It was crazy. Right. And this one guy, I mean, he is just a Midwestern dude, right? Ball cap, beard, tattoos, just a dude, right? Like probably goes to the drag races. He's just that guy. And his name is Jeff Cornett. And Jeff is a 15 car a month guy, solid, in and out every month, 15
Love
cars
those
a month.
guys.
Does it, right? Like they're part of the bread recipe, right? Like you
Yep.
need that amount of eggs in there too. And Jeff's that guy. And so the dealership said, Robin, I'm not really looking to add any more expense here, but here's what I'll do. I'll let you come pitch all my salespeople. There's like 19 of them. And if they're in and they agree to it, I will AR every one of them for a portion of Social Grenade. But if they post 20 times in 1 month, I'll pay it back for them. I just need them to be adopting it. They need to tell me they're going to
That's
adopt it.
some skin in the game. That's good.
Yeah.
I like that. Yeah.
And so Jeff was one of them that opted in. I think more than half of them did. And Jeff was one of them that opted in. And so, I mean, he did everything the text prompts told him to do, everything that went out, and he added his own stuff in there. He didn't miss on anything. Like he did the dang thing. Jeff sold 30 cars last month.
Oh my gosh, that's amazing.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
It is awesome. And I'm not saying it's because of Social Grenade. They had like they had a record setting month at their dealership.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so I went up today to do a testimonial video with him. And he's like, I hate being on video. I'm like, I understand that. I said, and while I'm here, you're going to shoot your first video. He goes, I don't want to be on camera. I'm like, you don't have to be on camera. I said, you're going to do a plot twist. Okay. So I'm going to walk you around. And there was a Kia Niro out there. I said, we're going to walk around this Kia Niro. And you're going to talk about it at the first 2 seconds. Hey, this is the 2024 Kia Niro. Blah, blah, blah. I'm not here to talk about that though, folks. I said, and then you're going to give everybody an education on gap insurance while you're walking around like you're doing a walk around video. You're going to walk around this vehicle the entire time and you're going to be talking about gap the entire time.
Yep.
And he's like, I could do that. I'm like, okay. So he did it. And then we went back to his desk and I showed him, he did it in 2 clips. So I showed him how to splice those together, get rid of he had long silent pauses while he was thinking. So we edited those out. I taught him how to do that himself. And then we popped it in a captions app and then got him to get it posted. I'm like, there's your first video. I said, now your homework is 1 a week, just 1 a week. Can you do 1 a week? And he's like, yes. I'm like, okay, I don't need you to be an influencer. I just need you to not be invisible.
Yeah.
That's what I need. Don't be invisible. And so anyway, so whenever we did his testimonial video, he goes, look, I'm not saying it was all because of Social Grenade. He goes, but I've never sold 30 cars before. And I'm like, don't even be giving it, because I'll have salespeople calling me going, I was going to double my sales next month. I'm like, no, you're not. No, you're not.
Yeah.
There was a whole bunch of other factors that weighed in on this, but that was a fantastic outcome for that. But yes, if you can get them to start doing the reps, once they do the reps of doing video, right? It just takes more and more and more. Like you inspired me because I didn't ever shoot video in my car, and you always shoot video in your car.
Yep.
And so I ordered one of those and I have a Jeep. So my front windshield is pretty flat, which is great for those little suction cup ones that will hold it because they're not at an angle. Like they're great on a Jeep, right?
I've tested out, I swear to God, like 50 of them, I swear. And my friend was like, no, your chest is a little far into that picture, or no, it's got a weird angle on your neck. So I have one from my rear view mirror now and it's perfect.
Yeah. So I had, whenever he won, he got salesperson of the month this month, and I went up and I had one of those, and then I had a set of Bluetooth lavalier mics, and so he picked the mics instead because that was his prize for being the salesperson of the month. And so we tested him out today. He got to use those while we were shooting his first video, so now he knows how to use those as well. But yeah, reps is the only answer, right? Like, so I do my best.
3 actually I sucked at. I was too quiet. My voice didn't carry. I was just kind of rambling. Like my second video was like 23 minutes long. I'm literally reposting stuff, like old throwback stuff when I first started now. And I'm like, what was I talking about for 23 minutes? Who talks that long? Like I literally was like, I should edit. No, I'm just going to post it.
So you'll love this because my house is literally 2 minutes from my office. Like I live 2 minutes from there. So when I pull out of my driveway, then because I'm sitting in my neighborhood, I put the phone up there and I already think about like what I'm going to talk about on the way to work. And it sucks sometimes because that sun is coming in and the visor is hitting it right here. And then I'm like, crap, the sun again, whatever. So I may shoot the whole thing on the way to work and not like the sun, but then reshoot it once I get it to the parking lot.
Yeah.
And I'm getting parked. But that like gives me like just that perfect amount of time. Say what you're going to say and be done by the time you get to work. Like there is no rollover. Be done by the time you get there.
That whole thing started because I was in New Mexico and that was part of my territory. And if you know New Mexico, every place in New Mexico is 3 hours from everywhere else in New Mexico.
Yeah.
The I'm a Car Chick podcast is a proud sponsor of the Social Grenade podcast. Listen now.
And I would literally, and there's nothing really to look at in between. There's no cows. If you're lucky, the pronghorn are running around. There's like going from Albuquerque to Roswell, New Mexico is straight for 2.5 hours. You then turn right at where there's a bunch of turkeys and then you go straight again for an hour and a half. So like, there's nothing, it was literally to keep myself awake. And then the other part was to kind of think through stuff that happened at the dealership. Like, why would somebody do this? All right, I need to talk this out because I think out loud the best.
But I think about that too. Like if I were selling cars and I had one of the suction cup ones that would stick on there, I would literally, if we got a new model in or whatever, like I would literally just be driving and talking about it at the same time. You don't have to see all the stuff. I can be explaining it to you as I'm driving this vehicle around. It's just so easy to do that thing and to free flow. You don't have that anxiety right here when you're driving because you're concentrating on driving, first of all.
Yeah.
And then whatever messaging you're wanting to get out, I think is a lot better. Plus, you know what I love about that one too, though? I don't know if you have the suction cup one, but like if I'm at my house and I don't have great lighting, I can literally just stick it I have French doors. I've got my back porch. I just stick it right on there and then I have perfect lighting again.
Oh, that's a good idea. I didn't think about that. Yeah, I have too.
Yeah.
I didn't think about that though. Huh.
Yeah,
I
love it. I love it for that part right there. But and I've tested out about 4 or 5 different ones too.
The morning, what I started doing with the sales guys when I was doing consulting, when they'd ask me, what should I make a video out of? Don't you walk the lot every morning? Well, yeah. Take it with you. Turn the camera around and take it with you. You don't even have to be on camera. Just start filming. Hey, I'm checking out the lot this morning. Looks like we've got a couple more vehicles and certified used inventory that I know I have some customers for. Just start talking about stuff. Pick one vehicle and talk for 3 minutes about one of the features and options on the vehicle. When the emergency front braking was a big deal, like the car would stop when it came across a person or an object, I told all you need to talk about that. They a lot of people are afraid to have AI take over their life. Oh, I don't let AI drive in my car. That's not, it prevents you from hitting things. That's all it's trying to do. So show that off.
Well, and think about
keep it simple.
But there's people that like buy cars every 5 years and think about the amount of technology that gets upgraded in those 5 years, right? And we weren't part of it. Like I remember the first time that I drove a vehicle that had lane assist. It was a rental vehicle and I didn't know why my steering wheel was locked up. It felt like it was locked. I'm like, what the crap is going on? I didn't know anything about it. And so those things are great content, right?
Yeah.
And you can talk to that audience and go, look, if you don't trade every 3 years, I get it. But here's what's been upgraded in the last 3 years since you haven't traded your car.
100%.
These things have happened. And this is what that means. I mean, the first time I drove with predictive cruise control, I was like amazed. I drove from Joplin to Kansas City to go to a Kansas City Chiefs football game. And I didn't have to brake hardly through any of that entire trip.
And to your point, I think that we would be a lot farther on EVs if people did more EVs videos. Like what is involved in owning an EV vehicle? You have to plan ahead. You have to build yourself accounts with credit cards on the different EV, Electrify America, Charge and Go, all those different EV stations. Build yourself a credit account with them. Because I got a rental car that was an EV car. And it was literally 11 o'clock at night. There was 8 people standing there. Nobody wanted the EV because everybody had range anxiety. And I'm like, I'm exhausted. I just want to go to my hotel. Take my EV, no charging station at my hotel. So I call my dealership and I go, I'm in an EV. This is 2 hours. Half of it is uphill through the gorge. I'm probably going to stop in Mesquite. It's from Las Vegas to St. George. I'm probably going to have to stop in Mesquite. So I'm leaving a little bit early. I'm just letting you know I'll let you know when I stop. And I did. I had to stop in Mesquite and recharge. It just takes more planning. So if you remove away that fear of the unknown, I feel like there should be tons more EV video content out there. I really do. That whole anxiety about that, I think would be a lot less. I'm not saying we'll totally adopt to EVs, but I'm saying it'll be a lot less if the salespeople did more EV videos on how to plan ahead, how to actually navigate having an EV. Now, that would help. Say this while I have 3 gas combustion engines in my driveway, but that was my first experience.
And in California, you guys have a lot more infrastructure than like the rest of the country does, I think, for EVs. I know in Joplin, there's maybe 3 or 4 charging stations, if that, population 50,000.
Yeah, I just got back from my dad's in Louisiana. There was nothing. I asked him, and I actually looked because I have the Charge America, app and everything. And it's like, your nearest one is New Orleans. And I'm like, that's 45 minutes away.
Yeah. Well, I tell you, I was in when I was at Bravo. I left El Paso, and I had to go to Phoenix actually. But
I've done that drive. That's a drive.
Yeah, you don't want to do that in an EV.
I live in Gilbert, in Phoenix right now, so I've done that drive for sure. Yeah.
So they gave me a Polestar at the rental company. I didn't ask for an EV. That was like the grab bag car, it's a surprise. Guess what you get? And I got a
It's
Polestar.
not a good surprise when it's an EV. I hate to say that way, but
No, it
people
isn't.
need to
And
be prepped for that.
she never sat down and showed me how to turn it on, turn it off, like nothing. And I've just had to sit
Charge
there and
it.
kind
Yep.
of just jack with it. And so then, so I left Bravo in El Paso and I drove over to Las Cruces. And then I thought, while I'm here, I've still got some stuff to do. I'll just go ahead and charge it while I'm here. Just leave it on the charger, whatever. And when I got in it was at 83% or whatever. And so then I leave Las Cruces and it's about like 5:30 at night. And I know I'm going to make it to Tucson, and spend the night. Cause I was meeting a friend of mine in Tucson. We were going to go hike in the morning. Her and I were, and then I was going to drive on over. My son lives in Santan. So, I was going, over
That's
to
right down the street from me. Actually, I live right, Queen Creek and Gilbert are real close.
They were in Queen Creek for a while, but they've been out in Santan since 2010. They own a house out there.
It's a lot less people there. It's a lot, still more country. I love it.
Yeah. For right now.
For right now. Yeah, exactly right.
So I leave Las Cruces and I'm like, I wasn't charged 100% yet. Like, it's like it didn't charge while I was out on the charger or whatever.
Yeah.
There. Like I didn't connect it right or something. And so I, at some point I don't have enough to get me to Tucson. So between here and there, I'm going to stop. So it was a little bit after sundown and there was a cafe, gas station, charging station. And I thought, I'll just pull over here. I'll plug in and charge. I'll go in and grab dinner. By the time I come out, it'll be done. So I go in and I have dinner. It was a weird little restaurant. Had 4 things on the menu and they were playing a old black and white detective show on the TV. It was an interesting little place. And so when I get out, the thing says done, right? On the panel on the dashboard says done. I'm like, fantastic. I charged. I disconnect everything, get on the highway, get to driving. And I'm like at 60%. And I'm like, what? Why am I don't understand. I said done.
Yeah.
So then I'm like, there's no way I'm going to make it. I'm going to have to stop again and charge before I make it to Tucson.
Yep.
And so probably about halfway through that, I start looking for another place. And they say there's a place I don't have to go very far off the highway. Like it's just right there. And so I pull off and it's an abandoned gas station. Like the pumps have been pulled. There's caution tape around, but the charging stations are still there. That's the only thing. It's like this real murdery desert highway.
Freaking intact. That sounds like a murder. That's like a horror movie waiting to happen.
I'm like FaceTiming with a friend the whole time I'm here. I'm like, you have to see this. This is kind of like The Hills Have Eyes. Like this is kind of creepy. So I sit there and
That's going to be a new horror movie you watch. They're going to lure him in with a working charge station. You watch.
It's a true story. So so I charge again till it says done. I'm like, fantastic. I undo. I get on the highway. I start heading. I look down again. I'm at 60%. Wow. And I'm like, what the holy hell? And so now I'm like, I'm going to have to stop again. This is not worth my time or effort.
Yeah.
And I don't even know, like I've put more money into these machines than I would have in a gas tank. I'm telling you, I did.
100%.
And so then after about 20 miles, I'm like, well, I wonder where the next place is going to be between here and Tucson. There isn't one. There wasn't.
I was going to say, is there one? Because I don't remember I've done that drive too, and I don't remember there being one.
I had to turn around and go back to that gas station.
The creepy gas station. Oh.
Yes. And then I was like, why? And then I'm like Googling, why will it only charge to 60%? I have a Polestar. Why will it? And they're like, there's like 4 tabs over. There's an option and there's a slide and you can tell it how far you want it to charge. I'm like, why would anybody in a rental vehicle move it from 100% to 60%?
Yeah.
It was only charging to 60 because that's what it was told to do. And I was like, oh my God. I'm like, I don't know who lives. I must have said it 100 times. I don't know who lives like this. Like I could put gas in here in 5 minutes and be done and be on my way.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it really is. I think it's the infrastructure, and I don't know that we're
100%.
ever going to get that up to snuff. And you're right, the planning has to happen. Like you've got to plot that trip out, like back in the olden days when we didn't have a gas station every
Yeah.
5 feet. So
Yeah. Yeah. What was
those
that
would be
game?
great videos.
What was that game that you used to play and you would get like, oh, you got dysentery, you died, or what? I forget what it is. The Oregon Trail. You have to go Oregon Trail when you have an EV. You have to plan out your whole route, where you're going to stop on the way, where you're going to eat, make sure there's no murdery type gas station.
I was watching Paul Daly's trek with his Lightning when he went and got it, and he had the same thing. He was like, "Oh my gosh, where are we going to charge? We're going to have to find a place to charge."
Yeah.
And like
You
he
become like a drug addict almost. Like, where are we charging? Where are we going next? We need the next charge. Where's the next charge
well,
coming from?
and like
Yep.
when I was in Tucson, even like the thing would tell me, "Here's an EV place right now. There's 3 open slots. Go there." Because the next morning when I got there, I only had like 14% left.
Yeah.
And I'm like, we were going to go hiking. I'm like, let's park this somewhere where
To
I can get it
charge.
charging
Yeah.
because I've got to make it to Phoenix. I'm like, let's park this somewhere where I can get it charging so that I don't have to worry about that later. And like, we're like driving all over Tucson at 5:30 in the morning looking for a charging port. And finally, she went, you know what? Let me just go find one, and then I'm going to send you a pin. I'll block it so nobody gets it, and I'll send you a pin, because we would pull up and they'd be out of order, or they
Yep.
would say they were open, but they weren't. People were
Yep.
parked there, and it was. I mean, and that was in Tucson where there was plenty to choose from. It was hard to find one.
That is a big issue in New York City. So I had a group of stores when I was with my last company for digital advertising. We visited and I asked them, what's the biggest struggle with the EVs? Well, the charging stations that are public are typically vandalized, and they get vandalized so fast, like the app can't keep up with them to say they're broken. And then the ones that aren't vandalized are in parking garages. And the average parking garage is about $1,100 a month. That's on top of your car payment and your insurance, $1,100 a month just for your car. So those are your options. So that's why they don't sell a lot of EVs in New York City proper, Brooklyn, Manhattan, stuff like that. So I literally took their advertising for EVs out of the city, and I put it in Connecticut and New Jersey because that's where everyone's driving from anyway, right? So I'm like, okay, well, then why are we even advertising them here? You're just pissing people off. You're not getting any conversions on them. So where do people drive who work in Manhattan or work in Brooklyn? Well, they're coming from New Jersey over the bridge. I'm like, over in Teaneck where we're staying? Yeah, okay, let's drop something right on top of there and see what happens with EVs. Sure as shit, there go their conversions.
Nice.
So, I mean, just being, you have to be cognizant of that stuff too. And the dealers know, they hear feedback. There's people that work there, you know what I mean, that might have gotten an EV and know what the situation is. But you're absolutely true. The vandalization of them was a huge issue. And the app just, it's just not, at least the one I used was the Electrify America. That one, when I looked at it, when I was sitting in the store in Brooklyn, showed like 17 different charging stations within probably a 10-mile radius of me. And the owner looked at me and he goes, I bet you all but one of those are broken or vandalized. And I remember driving around later on, we were driving around looking for a place to eat. And I'm like, I think that's a charging station. So we found a parking spot. We got out and I'm like, hold on a second. I got to go back and look. I ran back up. It was like half a block. Ran back up to where the charging station went. Sure enough, the whole thing to charge, the rope thing, gone. And I'm like, okay. And on my app, it says it's working. But unless I'm bringing my own charging cord, it's not going to work.
And it was expensive, right? Like if you've got time to do it overnight, fine, then it probably isn't. But like if you're like thinking you're going to pull in like you would a gas station, pull in and get gas and like not be there for 40, it's not you're paying. I mean, I didn't even look at the charges afterwards because they were just like, just go, whatever. I don't care. I don't have a choice.
Yeah. I added it up. It actually didn't save me much over gas. I probably paid I think I paid $64 or something like that for charges. And I had the car for.
Epic BDC is a proud sponsor of the Social Grenade podcast. Tune in.
I got in at like 10 o'clock at night. I had the next day of visits, and then I drove back to the airport that night down in Vegas. So 2 hours up, 2 hours back, St. George to Vegas. And I probably paid, I think it was about $64 round trip. So that would have been gas in the car I was in. So I didn't really save, honestly, that much.
Yeah. Okay, so let's talk about what's your favorite thing that you do for Pure Cars right now? Like the people that you help and like the results that you're getting, where are you seeing the magic happening?
So I treat all of my clients like it's my store. Like, what would I do if this were my store? How would I want my money spent? How would I want to optimize this campaign or that campaign? So I think the thing I like the most is just coming up with solutions. When the store comes to me and says, hey, we're not moving this particular car. And I just had this today. The store says, well, this dealership and this dealership around me are selling the shit out of Sportages. Excuse my French. I don't understand. I have more Sportages than they do. They're selling more than me. I don't understand what's happening. So I looked at both websites and I looked at his. Turns out he's stocking of the 19 Sportages he has, all of them are prestige trim level, which is the highest, most expensive trim level. And he's in an area that's not a good trim level to carry. The other store, which is the other two stores, they have maybe three. And I think the one store that was really beating the pants off and that he really complained about it had one of those prestiges. Everything else was the bottom two trim levels, or the cheapest two trim levels, let's say it that way. So, and he's the one who's outselling him. And I go, okay, so I'm typing up an email response and I'm like, okay, so if in vehicle ads, you have 5 chances to kind of get in that space with all the other people who have vehicle ads for Sportage, and they're searching for Sportage, and your vehicles appear and they're $6,000 to $8,000 more than all of his 5 that appear.
Mhm.
Which one do you think the customer's choosing? Like, it's just a matter of merchandising properly.
Right.
And I felt bad for the guy because he's a new GM. So factory reps, when they see new GMs, I think they see blood in the water. And they pushed on him all these high trim level vehicles. And so now, fast forward 12, 14 months, he's actually really struggling to move those high trim level vehicles. So it's definitely trying to find solutions for that. Like, okay, well, then we need to figure out a way to offload these vehicles for you. And you're going to have to dig into your pocket a little bit for that to
Mhm.
get your inventory mix right to the trim level that works for you. So I guess just finding the solutions that really work. And I don't look at, and I see this happen when I was involved in conversations with vendors before, when I was doing consulting. They don't really look at anything else. They look at everything in a bubble. They look
Mhm.
at, here's my vehicle ads, here's my paid search, here's my OTT, here's my metrics, here's my impressions and clicks and my vanity metrics. And that doesn't mean anything unless you're looking at the holistic picture of their digital presence. So looking at, like, I can send all the great traffic in the world to a vehicle details page, but if your CTAs are like check availability, the crap we were using during freaking COVID,
Right.
like, that's just not going to convert anybody. Nobody's checking availability for crap anymore. They just want to know, how much is it? You know what I mean? How much is my payment? So finding those solutions and looking at that from a holistic point of view and being that solutions finder, I think that's what I really enjoy doing. So, and sometimes I go too far down those rabbit holes, but man, I'll come up with solutions that I'm like, hey, this isn't just me switching my vehicle ads. This is a whole, like, I have one guy right now, he's building a whole subprime, like, he's got a guy dedicated to it. They're building a web page. He's creating organic video content. And then we're going to start running OTT and social. Like, I had him start with, you need to start, who's going to run this? Who's going to do this? And then we'll start building everything around it. Because that's what he was finding when he went 12 months back in DMS data. That's what he was selling, is he was doing a lot of subprime. So let's start marketing to that. Let's start
Yeah.
pushing it out there.
Yeah, for sure. Like if you're wasting your money on a paper ads, and those aren't your market, those aren't your demographic of people that come and buy from you, even though, like, we love having them, right? Because,
Yeah.
like, they're a lot less work. However, typically you make less money on them,
Yep.
because they have the ability to shop somewhere else. They have the ability to get approval anywhere they want to. They have the ability to, have their credit union just wire you over the money. And so,
But someone who's a subprime, who you get them done and get them on a car, dude, they'll
they're
send you everybody in their family, everybody, people shopping at the grocery store. Like, oh, no, 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 you need to go see my guy. Those are
yeah.
the happiest people when you get them in a vehicle that they want to be in, that they can afford the payment, that they have, quality, solid, reliable vehicle. But I mean, like I said, I saw
And they were treated
BMWs, and they were treated with
like
respect. Exactly.
like a human, right?
Exactly. I've got BMW customers. I remember not more than a handful of times of literally stepping away from a BMW customer because how condescending and rude they were, and going to my manager like, yeah, I need a turn because I don't think it's going to do well for our customer service if I poke this guy in the head with a fork.
Yeah.
So
But it's
just being treated with human dignity. Yeah, it's the quality of that customer as far as the amount of loyalty they'll have to you after that. That's priceless to me.
absolutely. And the thing is like they will probably believe that nobody in town can get them done but you. So
Yep.
their lifetime is with you. And if you tell them you have to service this vehicle here, they're going to service that vehicle there because they're
Yep.
loyal to you.
Yep.
And I really hate it whenever dealerships discount that and go, I don't want that. You don't want it?
That's dumb. That's a really dumb play. I mean, if you're looking at Highline where you know you can't get them financed, that's one
Right.
thing. But I mean, if you're a Nissan, Ford, Toyota, Hyundai, Honda, Chevy, you need to have a subprime department. You need to have a subprime silo for your digital marketing. You need to, because those people that come in who it's impossible for them to get done. They've been everywhere. Everyone's turned down, treated them like garbage, and they come into your store because they absolutely need a car. You get them done, you get them in a car, and you treat them with respect. They will buy every car from you they ever buy for the entire rest of their life. And so will their entire family. So will they'll encourage all their friends, people they work with, everywhere. That's better. Word of mouth is better than any of that. So I never shied away when I was a salesperson or consultant from any subprime business, because
Yeah.
I just found that was just a better, in my opinion, I was treated better than someone who could walk in. And I've had those too. I've had someone who walked in and wrote me a check for $95,000 and was a complete jerk the entire time. And I'm like, maybe you should go see John next time you come in, because I don't really want to deal with you.
Did you know that you can buy online? Sir?
Really? Yeah, exactly. You don't even have to see people ever, which sounds like would be great for you.
Some of our funnest, like whenever, like, cause we'll get them, because I have a social media agency that handles stuff for dealers as well. Like we're dropping messenger ads for a dealership and they come in with their walls up right at the bat. Yeah, right. Like you can really help me. Like you can't help me. Da, da, da. Everybody else has already told me no. And
Yep.
for us to walk them down that sales funnel and get their trust back in humanity, to the point where, look, if you'll trust me 10%, I'll earn the other 90%.
Yep.
Let me just get you in. I promise you, my guys are really good with this. And if anybody can get you done, they can get you done. And now we know, I always call it the grab bag full of shit, right? So the ups are grab bags full of shit.
Yep.
You don't know what's coming.
Yep.
You don't know anything about that person. And they may be dressed nice and driving a semi-decent
Doesn't
vehicle.
matter.
And you're making assumptions about them. And what you don't know is they got a 410 credit score and they're 10K flipped in that car right there.
Yep.
And it has a 29% interest on it anyway. So they haven't even paid anything but interest for the last 2 years.
That's funny that you say that. My very first customer I ever sold a car to was at a Ford dealership down in Temecula. And it used to be, it's not this way anymore, but there were fields all around Temecula. It was all farms and fields and horses and everything else. And this guy, dude, and I'm not tall, I'm only 5'3". Dude had to be like 6'8", 6'9". Huge guy. Overalls, completely filthy, walked onto the lot. Walked. Now I'm like literally 2 weeks after doing all the book trainings, day one of me selling cars. We're all standing by the front because you called ups. And this guy walks on the lot and he goes right over to this truck. It's like I don't know, maybe a $40,000 truck. It's up on the side. It's got a lift. It's one of those old Ford hard body trucks with the flat, and you have to back it up to put it in reverse, all that kind of crap. Anyway, and they go, send the green pea out there to go waste their time with him. He's not buying anything. He's been looking at that truck for 2 weeks. I'm like, okay, I'll go. And I go out there and hi, sir, welcome, to Ford dealership. How can I help you? He goes, you get the keys for this car? And I go, for what? And he goes, well, I want to take it off the lift and take a look at it. And I'm, okay, I'll go get the keys. So I go in and get the keys. They're all laughing at me. She already got taken in by him. She got the keys. So someone helps me back it off the lift, off one of those riser things.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, and I'm sitting and he goes, do you know how to put in the 4-wheel drive? And I literally have been driving trucks since I was like 8 because I grew up on a farm, because that's what you do.
Yep.
And I'm like, not on this particular one. And he goes, all right, you back it up. Hold on a second. He puts the, locks on the wheel hubs. I back it up. And he goes, okay, put it back into park. And it was in 4-wheel drive. He goes, okay, that sounds right. And I'm like, okay, did you want to go take a drive? And he looks at me and he goes, what do you need? And I go, I just need your driver's license. Okay. driver's license, go copy it. They're still laughing at me. They're all at the manager just laughing at me. Meanwhile, the desk manager is watching. He's not saying a word, watching. Was one of my favorite. I still talk to him, Tom, and he's watching me. And so I take it, I go out in the test drive, I park it right in front, like I'm supposed to, like right in the delivery, area. And we're walking to the truck. And I go, he goes, how much do you know about the truck? And I go, sounds like you're going to know more than me about the truck. So why don't you tell me what you know about the truck? And he goes, well, this truck has this much weight and I can put this much hay on the back and I can do this and I can do that. And he's telling me all this stuff. And I said, yeah, that sounds about right. I just did all my training. Today's my first day selling cars. He goes, it's your first day. And I go, yes, sir, it is. He goes, I'm going to make you your first sale. And I go, thank you, sir. And he goes, I tell you what, you go get this truck cleaned up for me. I'll be back tomorrow. But right now I want you to go in there and I want you to ask your manager what the out the door number is for this truck. And I'm like, out the door number. I'd never heard that. Out the door number. Manager, Tom, hey, this guy wants an out the door number. Salespeople all outside the door laughing at me. He goes, I'm going to give it to you and I'm going to give you a wash ticket and I'm going to hope for the best. And I go, okay. Out the door number. He goes, all right, I'll be back here at 9 a.m. tomorrow. I have the truck washed up. I go in there and he goes, he says he's going to buy it. Everybody's shaking their head, laughing at me, whatever. Dude walks off the lot, dirt and all floating behind him like Pigpen from Snoopy. He comes in 9 o'clock sharp the next morning. He has a truck like one of those 3,500 Laramie Dodges,
Wow.
like a freaking $70,000 truck. Now, this is late 1990s, too.
Yeah.
He's got a belt buckle on his waist that probably was worth what my car was worth and about 4 other cars in the parking lot. His wife is dripping from head to toe in gold and Tony Llama and all the Western. I knew it because I was around horses.
Right.
All the Justin boots. I mean, they literally were wearing about maybe $15,000 worth of clothes without the belt buckle. And I'm like, hi, well, you clean up good. That's what you say to horse people. You clean up good. And we were talking everything else. He goes, you got my check? I go, yes, sir. I got right over here. He goes, here's your check. And I go, we'd have to do this, that, and the other. He goes, no problem. Go ahead. Perfectly nice, pleasant, everything else. He was a sod farmer and his driver called out that day. And he owned probably half the valley in Temecula and he did sod farming in French Valley and all through there. And as soon as they drove out with the truck, the check cleared the whole 9 yards. The GM, the general manager, who the desk manager had called to go, you need to come see this, pulled everybody into the conference room and says, if I ever see any of you cherry picking a customer again, you are fired.
Sure.
That shows you right there. She just took some time to talk to that guy and get to know him. And you guys were all sitting here saying, oh, that guy's not going to buy anything. He's been here every day for 2 weeks. Shame on you guys that a green pea who's never sold a car in her life, that she had to show you how to sell a car.
Yeah.
And I've never cherry picked ever. I didn't cherry pick that day and I never cherry picked. I never assumed someone couldn't do something just by the way they looked. But I saw it all the time. All the time.
I do too. And I would see them broom. Like we used to have this guy at the dealership and this is a Kia store that really, really specialized in subprime. Like they marketed to it. They knew who their customer was. They knew how to treat them. And they had this one salesperson. He doesn't work there anymore, thank God. But he would literally broom them on the lot. Like they'd pull up, he'd be at their window with their window rolled down talking to them, and then you'd see them drive off because he would be asking them all these questions. You got 5,000. He didn't want to spend 2 hours with them if it wasn't going to be done. He would like it instead of giving them to somebody else. He would burn through that lead, not just a lead, a visit, an
actual physical customer visit. Yes.
And I was like, we would call, like, as at that time I was working, I was a marketing manager, but I was also, my office was in the BDC.
The I'm a Car Chick podcast is a proud sponsor of the Social Grenade podcast. Listen now.
Mm-hmm. And so I would literally go, you know what? I don't know who had an appointment right now, but I think he just showed up and Maxie just broomed him. So if you can get him back here, we'll get him with another salesperson, but you're going to have to call him now. I don't know who that guy was. So if you guys can look at the vehicle he's in and go, he said he's driving XYZ. I said, I would probably get him back on the phone. But yeah, I mean, I love when we talk about social, when we talk about marketing, I love trying to get inside the head of the dealership and go, what are we trying to create here?
Yeah.
And then let's have a unified plan of what we're trying to do. We'll all pull in that direction. And if it's just about, we don't care about culture, we just want to sell cars, tell me that too.
Yeah. Let's be straight. Yeah.
Because that way we're heading in that direction. But I think it has to be something that is definitely covered ahead of time for sure. So I mean, I'm not really in love with that type of client, but
No, but I mean, they're going to learn pretty quick that it's not, it's not a long game for sure. There's definitely ways to play the strategy. And if you're playing all short game, then you're going to get short game results. So
yeah, for sure. For sure. So, Pure Cars, when were you with a company that became purchased by Pure Cars, or did you move to Pure Cars?
So I've only been here, it's about a year and 4 months that I've been here. So I guess that happened like right before I joined. Aaron got put in as CEO. He was with AutoMiner. It all happened like literally, I think the summer before I got here. So I came in and that stuff was already, humming in that direction. So
Nice. I like Aaron.
yeah, he's good people.
He is, absolutely. I tell people this all the time. He was, and it was unofficial. He was my unofficial mentor. It's kind of like, your unofficial boyfriend, the person that you stalk all the time. That's how it was. I would be like 9:00 at night texting Aaron going, do you have a second? I have a question. He's like, hang on, I'm putting the girls to bed and then I'll call you back. I'm like, okay. I told somebody a couple months ago, I'm like, well, he's my mentor. I don't think he knows that. And they're like, oh, he knows it. He knows it.
I say the same thing about Joe Webb. I say that all the time. He's my unofficial mentor. Yeah.
That's funny. So where do you see yourself in the next 5 years?
I've been in the director role. I've been in the, a consultant role. I really like what I'm doing right now. I wouldn't mind doing more training of, train the trainer type of people. I wouldn't mind doing training account executives on consulting because I really have a passion for consulting. That's why I handle my clients like I do is it has to be a consultative approach. Like you can't just go and read vanity metrics to them and expect they're going to stay with you any amount of time. They're paying us. They could do digital advertising anywhere. They're paying us for the expertise on what decisions this happened, so that happened. They're paying us to help them through the pivot. How do I pivot? Where do I pivot next? So if we're not bringing that to the table, it does Pure Cars a disservice. It does the clients a disservice. That's first and foremost. So I really would like to, if I could have my choice of things, I really would like to go into that role and teach more people how to be that consultant and to help the dealers in the right pivot in the right direction instead of just as, launch it into the middle of unknown nowhere. We have plenty of data behind the decisions we make, plenty of things to see that shows that, okay, we need to pivot this way or we need to pivot that way. And it's not just a gut feeling from a dealership.
Right. And is there a road to that with Pure Cars?
Yes, that's part of the reasons I'm here. Because it's tricky in the consulting realm, and it's not just with the company I was with, it's with any consulting company. There's not a lot of justification for management leadership positions, and there are not a lot of them available. So I've had friends who've been consultants for 6, 7, 8 years and still aren't in leadership positions or have gotten passed over because of the clique that's formed, and the OEM likes that guy for no other reason other than he went to them to a strip club last year or something like that. So I just didn't like that part of it. I didn't like that clickiness of it. And I'd just rather Pure Cars, to me, everybody who's in the leadership positions that started when I started, they were all AEs. They were all my job before, and they earned that leadership position. And I really respect that.
Yeah, I love that too. I was talking to a friend of mine earlier and we were talking about culture and creating a path for employees and turnover. And I'm like, I said, I think turnover happens because they don't see the path to where I want to be.
100%.
And nobody's asking them where they want to be, right?
Nope.
Nobody's asking them what their goals are like within this operation right here. And I've struggled with that in my own company before too. Like I didn't know that people had desire to be anything other than what they were. I didn't ask them. And then it happened like literally like 4 months ago. This girl who's a graphic designer for me came to me and she said, I've heard that you're going to be hiring a manager for our creative team. And I would like that. I would like that job. What do I need to know? And I just got through with the SOPs for that position because I knew I was going to be hiring for it. And I'm like, well, here's the SOP for that. I mean, here's
Yeah,
everything that
figure it
job
out. Can you,
should
or do you
entail.
check all these boxes?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I said,
Yeah.
highlight all the stuff that you don't know. And then your job then is to learn these things. And then once you learn these things, come back and talk to me and we'll talk about that position. And so she did. She took it, she taped it up in her cubicle and like she just went through and went, I don't know how to do that. Where is that? Where do I find that? And learned everything. And then she came back to me and went, okay, I've learned all of this. Can I have the job now?
I love it.
Like, you know what I'm saying? But not everybody does that. Not everybody just raises their hand. And you have to, I always say this in leadership, like if you're running a business and whether it's not your business, but you're running your department of it, whatever, all of the people who work for you have to be able to see their dreams inside of your dream. And everyone says that, but here's the problem is that most founders or CEOs are reluctant to share their dreams with their team. This is where I see the company going. This is what I see for the company. I see us doing XYZ and bringing this many dealerships on. We'll get a dealership group over here, and then we'll have this little subcategory over here. And they forget to share their dreams because
Yep.
then they don't know, they will leave you because they don't see a path somewhere and they don't see a plan big
Yeah.
enough to accommodate what they're wanting in their lives. And so, and I know why we do that. I know why we hold it close to our vest because we failed so many times. We hate to say I'm going to do a thing and then it doesn't happen because you couldn't make it materialize. And I know that that's us protecting ourselves.
Yeah.
However, we've got to get better at showing everybody what because I'm the visionary of our company. And so like what I have in my brain, like they don't get it. Like I mean, we had already launched Social Grenade when more than half of the people that work for me didn't know what it was, what it was about, anything, because it wasn't their department. But there was so much room for growth. If they wanted to move out of the BDC over into Social Grenade, they could, but they didn't even know it because they didn't know what it was. And that was my bad for doing that, for not sharing my.
Aaron's great at sharing too much information. He's great at that. Like he always says, I probably literally every time before like a big meeting where he's sharing something, I'm probably going to get yelled at for sharing this. Like I swear, he must say that at a minimum every other meeting. I'm going to get yelled at for saying this, but I don't care. So he'll share what's coming so we can actually share with our stores his excitement and his enthusiasm because he's like giddy about it.
Yeah.
You know, he was giddy about Riley AI. He was giddy about any changes at Autominer, any upgrades. He's just, and you can see that not only with he shares in meetings, but in his social media posts. He's giddy about it. He's happy. And that's contagious. So
Yeah.
I feel like he's a big open book with where we're going, what his vision is, what they want to do. And he has people around him who are the same way. So the people that the Justin DeBerry, the Lauren Donaldson, the Hannah Lifesim, they're all the same way too. They're very open about this is what the plan is. This is what my plan is. This is how we're going to move in this direction. I don't feel any of that shell game sneakiness that I was so used to where I came from, you know, about no one knows anything where else to go. And our consulting program was like so siloed and well hidden from the rest of Synchro and CDK. Like nobody even knew we existed. Like I would meet people out in the field from CD when I worked at CDK or Synchro, whatever the name was at that moment. And they'd be like, well, how long have you been here? I'm like 10 years. And like, I've literally never heard your name or never even heard of your side of the business. So, and to your point, I just think that's wrong because that really, we lost a ton of great people.
Yeah.
Because they had just hit a ceiling, you know, when there's only 36 positions open and 5 management positions.
Right.
And you don't have anywhere else to go because nobody knows what the hell you do or even knows you even exist at the company. It just doesn't do
Or they don't
anybody a
know
service.
that they don't know that you're ready to launch a whole other department over here that's going to need a whole other level of leadership that you haven't grown yet. And if they can't see that, then all they see is like, oh, that's her and that's her and that's her. There's no room for me here. I need to make room for myself somewhere else. And so I'm doing my best to get better at that as well as sharing the vision and where it's going. I mean, as entrepreneurs, we're like head down hustling most of the time. And it's like, I don't have time to look up and tell you guys all this shit. I'm just doing it. You just have to assume the bus is going to be available. Get on, you know.
Aaron's a great unofficial mentor then because he literally, like, if you went to ask him right now, hey, what are you working on that's top secret? He'll literally tell you. Like, he's a complete open book and he's horrible at keeping a secret, I'm sure.
Yeah. He was funny. I think the last time we were on, he was like, I have to show you this. Do you care if I show you this? This is like super cool. Because we were talking about I know. He goes, I know.
I'm going to get yelled at for showing you this, but I don't care. I'm showing it to you.
Yeah. It was so funny because I was talking about the dashboard that we're creating for Social Grenade, and he's like, oh, wait. And then you create these AI employees and we'll automate all of this piece right here. And then the dealer will get the email and you don't even have to do anything. It's going to grab this and do this and send that thing on the schedule. You give it. I'm like, okay, well, I'm going to have to get one of your AI employees whenever we get to that point. I don't have one right now.
But that's his energy all the time. He's very excited about that. And that's very contagious. I've worked at companies where you can tell the person is just very angry or pissed off or doesn't like what they're doing or has a complete unappreciation for everybody around them. I've worked for those people, and it just doesn't make you want to stay. You'll work just hard enough to keep your job all the while you're looking for something else. But his energy is contagious, and it's one of the things I like about him.
I know. He makes me wish I were smarter. Like, honestly, he'll be talking to me and he'll rattle off a bunch of stuff.
He's the first one to tell you he's not the smartest one in the room, though. Like, I think he's the smartest one in just about any room. Yeah. But he's the first one to say, no, not at all.
Yeah. And I'm like, he'll be talking and and then you're going to want to do da 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 da. And I'm like, look, like a third grader. Talk to me like a third grader. And he's like, hang on a minute. He's the best. Oh, he's the best. I'm so glad that you guys work together because I think good people should work together.
This was a well, like everything else in the car business, this was a happy accident. So this was a happy accident that I got here. I had a friend who I had done a favor for a long time ago with regards to a job, and he did me a favor and connected me with James Bailey, and who's a salesperson at our company. And James Bailey is the one who actually got my foot in the door. Good. So that's pretty much how the car business rolls. It's just about getting connected and who the right person to get in the right door at the right time. So and I've done that for friends of mine too. I've put them in front of not just what we've got AutoMine or Pure Cars. I put them in front of other companies that I have friends at that I know that are looking, Shift Digital and back at Synchro. I've put someone in a role there. So just paying that forward, I just think that's the way to do it,
Well, it is whenever the company's culture and that person's culture too, and you go, look, I think this would be a good fit for you.
Yeah.
And for what they're wanting to do. So.
And I've actually told people, I don't think this will work for you.
Yeah. And that's good. That's good information though, too. That's sometimes things look really great on the outside. And if you don't know, inside there's some dysfunction going on, or there's some other function, what I'm saying? Maybe it's not for them, it's functioning, but for us, it wouldn't work. So that's good information to have.
Alternative functioning.
All right. We've been on here for long enough. I'm going to let you go on and have your evening, but I appreciate every moment I ever get to spend with you. I always think it's just a lot of fun and a lot of synergy that goes on. So I'm always excited about that. So Candice, if people want to reach out to you because maybe they're interested in Pure Cars stuff, how do they reach you?
You can find me on LinkedIn. I'm under SoCalCarGal. They can find me at the Pure Cars. I think I'm on the staff page. LinkedIn is probably the best one.
I will drop her LinkedIn link down below so you guys can click that and connect with Candice. And if you ever get in her Facebook Messenger where she's got you in her reels, you'll have a good time for sure. All right, everybody, have a great week, and we will talk to you next week.
Bye.